What's going on, guys? Economic Prepper here. So me and the fam, we're out here getting lunch, and beautiful day, actually. Beautiful day. Probably about 85 degrees out, and we are actually right across from this railroad track. I hope it doesn't interrupt my video, but we're already seeing massive changes in pricing. Obviously, gas prices are higher, wages are not keeping up with inflation, and we're seeing more and more negative impact in what we're buying every single day. And it's getting harder and harder for the middle class, even lower income American, just to get by. So we frequent this restaurant many times in the past, so we're pretty familiar with the prices on the menu. But what we realize is that, number one, normally you can swap things out on the menu for something else, right? So let's just say, for example, you don't want beans, right? You might swap it out for rice or something, right? Whatever the case is, like a side. So a side for a side. And even though that these sides cost the same amount, what this particular restaurant is doing, and I don't know if all other restaurants are going to be following suit, but generally speaking, when you have business and an economy, what one business does that another business sees as being successful, they will end up doing the same thing. So what they're doing here is they're making more money by charging you to swap out your sides. So ordinarily, hey, you don't want this? Cool, we'll give you this instead, right? No big deal. And it's not costing them anything else to swap it out, because if you look at the price of the sides on the menu, the sides are the same price. So what they're doing now is they're charging you an extra $2 just to swap it out. And that never happened before. In addition to that, you can see that the menus are slightly newer. And you would think that, most people might think, oh, well, they just decided to update the menus, make them look nicer. Maybe the menus were old. But if you look closely, or if you're familiar with the pricing of the restaurant that you're at least this one in particular, the menu items I'm seeing they're up by $2, which some people may not think is a big deal, but it's still $2. And I'll give you an example. So the menu item that I was looking at, it normally would cost $15, and now it's $17. So hang on one second, our food's coming out. I'm gonna show you what we've ordered. Thank you. This looks great. So what this is like really flat chicken breast, and it's probably one of the best chicken breasts I've ever had. And so we like coming to this restaurant for this in particular. There's probably about 100 different items on the menu, and we order the exact same thing every time. So we've got plantains here. We've got grilled chicken breast. You've got white rice, and this is black beans with a squeeze of lime here, of course. And trying to keep it clean, trying to keep it healthy, even though that there's a drought going on and a water shortage. You got to stay hydrated. So water, a little bit of lemon for additional flavor. You good, man? But getting back on topic, right? So this menu item used to be $15, and it's a great value. Now it's $17, right? So this is just more and more inflation in your face, rising prices, businesses attempting to raise their revenues without raising their expenses, and they're doing this in the form of updating the menus without necessarily giving you any more. And so we've seen shrinkflation in the stores. You might buy ketchup that used to be, I don't know, 20 ounces, right? Maybe I don't know how big ketchup is, but you might normally buy ketchup for $2 and it's 20 ounces. But now, moving forward, they might make a 16 ounce $2. And so the price is the same, but you're getting less. But what these restaurants are doing, instead of giving you less food, I guess some of them are probably giving you less food and keeping the prices the same. And so they're reducing their expenses while keeping their revenues the same. And keeping their prices the same. This particular restaurant decided to increase the revenue and hopefully attempt to offset their expenses. Obviously, you know, with the bird flu and having basically killed millions of chickens, the cost of chicken has gone up. So I understand that there are higher costs and expenses, but this is the real deal. This is what's happening here. And you might think, okay, $2, it's not that big of a deal, right? Well, think about it. If your menu item is $15 and it goes up $2, that's like a 15% increase. I mean, that is something that most investors would love to receive if you're investing in the stock market. S&P 500 increases at a rate of, you know, on average over the long term, you know, an investment portfolio on average on the S&P 500 probably goes up around 10 or 12% per year. So if a company can simply change some numbers on their menu and then all of a sudden they've increased the return on their investment, which is their business, to go up by 15%. If they can get away with it, they're going to do it. In addition to that, we've already seen companies like Chipotle and I can't think of the other one right now, but there's several other companies that have reported in their earnings report, because, you know, these different multi-billion-dollar companies on the stock market, they report their earnings, and so this is public information for any type of publicly traded company that's on the stock market. They are reporting that they've increased their prices without any type of pullback or you know, basically the customers didn't flinch, customers didn't budge. And so what does this mean? This means that these companies, these restaurants, and it goes well beyond restaurants. If a company can increase their prices and they're not seeing any kind of slowdown in sales, well, hey, they just increased their profit margins. They increased their revenues. And if the customers don't complain, let's just say inflation were to pull back and hypothetically go negative, which will never happen. We're never going to see like negative inflation, right? But let's just say inflation did go negative. You think that these companies are actually going to bring their prices back down just because inflation pulled back? No, that's not going to happen. They're like, hey, you know, we're making more profit. And of course, you know, some companies are actually having to pay their employees more money just to keep them. We went to a number of different restaurants where, you know, the service has been lacking because they're telling me that they're trying to hire, but people don't want the jobs. People don't want the jobs because they're not getting paid a fair wage. And so a lot of these restaurants, a lot of these companies are having to increase the pay for their employees. So, and you know, the cycle's going to continue. If the employee needs more money because of inflation, and now the business has to charge more because their employee overhead expenses are higher, well, they're going to have to raise their prices to remain profitable. But then if all other businesses are doing the same thing, then all the employees are then going to need to get a raise again. And so the cycle is going to continue until something interrupts the flow to prevent, you know, a hamburger from going to $100 at some point. So, and hell, maybe if we live long enough, we will see a $100 hamburger. But anyway, I just wanted to share this quick update with you guys. If you made it this far, drop a like for the video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.